Right here. Go ahead. Okay, you were talking about, I'd asked for testimonies about the judgment seat, right?
Yes, I think last week I took a visit there, but what I saw was basically I was getting a bunch of like open heart surgery done to me. So I also saw some stuff burnt off, and I had a fair bit of gold, but it was mostly the heart surgery and seeing things being changed, and I didn't really see a bunch of specifics, just those details.
Wonderful. Very good. Anybody else with a testimony? Jane and I are preparing for a Facebook Live. I think it's probably this Monday, maybe next Monday, coming Monday anyway, about seeing. And as preparation for that, here comes Jane. So I'm just going to admit her and greet her. Hi, Jane.
Hi guys.
Hi, we've got
Hey, Jane.
quite a few folks here today, some that not necessarily regulars. And we've just begun testimony time. But I wanted to greet you before we resume that.
Hi. Oh, good to see you.
Yeah.
Which Joe is Joe?
Joe
This
is a
is
friend
my
of Nicholas's.
coworker, Joe. So
Oh, yeah. Welcome, Joe. Yeah.
Hey,
Good,
thank
good.
you.
And nice to meet you, Jackie.
Hello, Jane.
Hello.
Hi, Amanda.
Nice to meet you, my love.
Okay, Nicholas just gave a brief testimony about a brief encounter at the judgment seat, or Great White Throne, I guess it was, Nicholas. Anybody else that has a testimony? I was beginning one, so I'll continue with that. I was told everybody I was preparing for our upcoming Facebook Live on seeing, and realized that the manifestation of the Spirit called discerning of spirits is most likely the source of seeing in the spirit realm, in other words, seeing angels and so on. And I had not sought that particular manifestation of the Spirit because I did not see myself as an evangelist doing deliverance and things along those lines. But I realized that I need to seek that in order to increase my seeing into seeing angels and so on. And so I've followed the basic procedure for 9 manifestation of spirits, which is the Spirit gives as he wills, but also we are to eagerly desire. So I started eagerly desiring, and I've been given that manifestation, and I'm beginning to activate it. I also had a revelation that when it was given, I would then have upgrades to upgrade it to the age at which I'm functioning in. So going back into the kingdom age to get the actual manifestation being given to me, but then much like when you download an older computer program, the first thing that happens after the download is all the uploads of the updates that have happened since that program was designed is what I'm expecting now. So I just wanted to give that testimony as something that I'm beginning to move into.
that resonates because I've heard about this kind of upgrade thing before. So it's just a more complete explanation of it.
Thank you, Nicholas. I'm glad to hear that it resonates, and that gives me increased confidence too. Of course, I was confident that I heard, but it's always good to hear extra. Julie says, sorry for the barking dogs, which I wasn't hearing, but that's why she's staying on mute. I see. That's such helpful testimony, Bill. That helps me to focus on getting my desire level to see more expansively. Thank you. And when you do get to listen to the recording of the upcoming Facebook Live, Jane and I will talk about much more about seeing. We'll have more to share about that. But this is my testimony for the moment, and it's also a teaser for the Facebook Live, which is upcoming. Anybody else with a testimony?
That would be great to receive.
What's that, Amanda?
I said that would actually be great to receive, especially for someone that's just started the scene of the Facebook Live you last spoke about.
The Facebook Live will probably be from a more advanced perspective, but it will also include beginner's perspective as well. So you'll find something helpful there, I'm sure.
Of course, will
Some
be.
things that you can apply immediately, and some things you can begin believing for to have it happen to you at a later time, both of which are good things to have happen.
Sure, thanks for that.
You're welcome, Amanda. Thanks for the question. Anybody else with a testimony for tonight before we begin our bench gathering here? Well, Jane, should we move into our bench time?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody want to be the one that brings us in and gets us started? This is something you can do whether you've got a full understanding of how to do it or not. Just do it to your current understanding and ability, and we'll add anything on that needs to be added on to.
Yeah, just thinking we should stop saying that phrase because it's really a wrong phrase, isn't it? It's bring us higher.
There you go.
Or engage heaven more. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Nicholas. Go ahead.
I think I'll take a shot here. Yeah.
Please.
So, Father, I just thank you for gathering us here, but let's just imagine yourself opening up and just see yourself and Father and Father in you, and just feel that oneness with Him, and we just invite all the heaven in, and there's we're just gathering to this the bench before us. So it's a round table and there are seats, but we just focus on Father here and just I'll speak His name a little bit, but that's just Yod He Vav He, Yod He Vav He, Yod He Vav He. And just tune into that flow and just receive from Him, and me myself, I'll just I just calm down and slow down here, and know that He has us. We just see ourselves with Him, and just above all creation, just cradling that, and in our places high up there with Him. Just experience that peace and that love, and I'll rest in this a bit, and just if anyone sees anything, just feel free to mention it.
Awesome. We cast our care upon you because you care for us. So any cares that we're carrying at the moment, we cast them upon you so that we're not thinking about them. That should be our procedure at all times. But anyway, right now we do that. And even if you're new and this is your first time here, you're welcome to join us on one of the bench seats as a visitor. There are those who are officially a part of the bench, but visitors are welcome to sit on a seat as well. When I sat down upon the seat, unexpectedly, there was a headpiece from the back that came down over my head, and it reminds me of like a circular white neon light. Wasn't expecting that at all. not quite a crowning because it's something different. There's this white neon thing around the top of my head now as a circle. Not sure what that is. But you may experience something as you sit down upon the bench. See, as well as beginning to look for the mandate for today. Is anybody experiencing something as they sit down? Especially if it's totally unexpected. I'm finding that white neon tube around the top of my head as being slightly less than full intensity. So I'm consciously believing to turn up the white light to the brightest level. I think for me, this might be an accelerated version of like a candle flame, which for me means revelation, receiving revelation when I see that. Also, there's like a white screen before me. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wonder if that's what God does for us all the time. He's always hovering over us, releasing light.
Yeah.
The first place I saw it was actually on the seat, but the neon, I mean.
Ah. So you're sitting on the neon.
Yeah, the very tall back chairs lined with neon, and there it is faintly above me. Yes.
I think it has to do with the revelation that he's going to give to us. There's a white screen before me, much like a movie screen.
Can you see anything on the movie screen?
Right now, it's light, not bright white light, and it's no particular image as of yet. It's like the show hasn't quite started yet. I think we need to participate and basically begin the flow of revelation, which is a joint co-working between us and God to get it flowing, which I picture kind of like having the movie projector start to move. Was asking whether this is brand new revelation or something we already know something about. So more revelation about a topic we already know something about. My sense is that's what it is. It's more revelation about a topic we already have some revelation on already.
The only impression I have so far is on the screen, like one of the frames. At first, I just saw some grass, but it's like soccer, children playing soccer.
Ah,
But most of the frames are pretty white and bright. I can't see them yet.
okay. I think we're participating in the process of seeing the mandate. Let the soccer game flow. I'm sure most of us have been to a children's soccer game or watched
I
them.
feel to release that circle of white light over everyone here today.
Okay.
That's just part of being in Godheadship. You can just hover over people and
Okay,
release light.
okay, I'm doing that. Thank you. That's what it was a headship function, wasn't it?
Mm.
Yeah. I see everybody with an equivalent lighting. Maybe not headship, but definitely being lit. We're in a circle, and the circle goes around to the left from me, and then there's a place at which our seats are no longer filled, and there may be other beings in some of those seats or someone later to join us, but all of us are hooked up now. In the seeing process, there's the initial seeing, then there's the interpretation of what it means, and then there's the application, which is what you're to do about what it means. That's the process we're starting to go through here.
For me, definitely still first stage here, because there's like a train and it's definitely going slightly downhill, perhaps down a mountain, but it's kind of passing by where the kids are playing soccer. And
Ah,
if I just jumped to interpretation, it's like are people playing around and missing something, or but let's look at that some more.
is it a modern train, Nicholas, or like a steam train?
Steam.
That's what I was saying too. Yeah.
It was like that cartoon where they tie the damsel on the track and like the villain was laughing, the old kind of train.
Dudley Do Right.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And I could hear the steam engine whistle blowing as well as the train went by. So interpretation of it being a steam engine, which is what, 100-year-old technology or something, still very functional.
Oh, Steam maybe. I just stopped. I jumped straight to thinking Spirit or something when you said Steam, though. But
Okay, so not old technology, but steam technology having to do with the spirit. Okay, thank you.
that's
Anybody else?
that's where I naturally jumped to. But let's see what it
Okay.
actually is here.
No, the first place you look is probably what it's going to be. But we can take a look at the steam engine or at the train. I'm definitely concentrating on the whistle.
It's very spacious and luxurious inside, more space than you expect. And the whistle's calling out.
More of an invitation than it is a warning.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, good. Places to sit down on the train inside.
Yes.
Okay, why don't we join that if everybody's in agreement? I sense tickets or ticket being punched, which would indicate a specific destination.
Yeah, I think the train means as well acceleration for us.
Ah,
I also saw that the football team represented unity.
ah,
And I said to God, oh no, I can't do the oneness mandate again. I don't want you to do that. And anyway, then what I saw was a circus. And I saw exactly the same thing, that the amount of oneness and unity needed for a circus to operate, particularly the acrobats, is really profound. And then God said to me that, no, that's actually, I'm showing you that there's more oneness than you realize, that they have moved into oneness more than you realize. But what I'm saying with you, the train, is that you're going to accelerate to a new level of oneness beyond the level of oneness they're working at.
Okay. Which goes along with what I said about something we already know about, but more about it than what we currently know.
Mm.
The other detail I have is that interior I saw it reminds me of one piece of fiction, but this is a train that went through the stars and they visited different worlds, but so acceleration to like just all these sorts of places that well, it's in space, so it's high up, yeah.
Well, let's pick up the speed here, which may have been what your downhill thing, Nicholas, was about. That would be picking up speed, accelerating for a steam engine. And I'm thinking back to what you said, when you opened up for us and brought us into higher, you immediately started talking about Father. So not the Spirit or the Son, but Father. I'm wondering, Jane, if the oneness is with Father God.
That may be one aspect, yes. The other aspect I'm seeing is we can change our methods now to accelerate in oneness. It doesn't have to be the old thing where you need chats, you need conferences, any of the old ways in which you need phone calls where you had to build that relationship. You can actually entangle in the spirit with all, even if they're rejecting speaking to you.
So you can be one with someone who is not in relationship with you, or is actually intentionally avoiding relationship with you.
Yeah.
That makes complete sense, because the oneness is primarily with, first off, with the Godhead, and then with one another.
Yeah. I mean, you don't force them, but you honor them and you meet them in heaven such that they're more likely to want to meet you. And particularly when they see everyone else entangling together. Be like a party you don't want to miss out on.
I do some strange things sometimes, but like from you may be able to meet with the spirits of the person who their spirits have already been made perfect if they even if they don't know it, or perhaps you step into the future and meet with them there. But
yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah.
Is to come.
Yeah, no one's rejecting anybody in the eternal realm.
Or the is to come. Wow. That's definitely an accelerated method, Jane.
And I see as people entwine together, it's like they go to higher and higher realms in heaven. They understand more.
going to be in both directions, though, to all directions. Understanding each other. This is a way to remove a stumbling block.
Mm.
You go beyond it and work back towards it rather than approaching it from in the present. Anybody else getting revelation, even if it's a completely different topic?
Yeah, I just want to mention when I was entering, everyone is given a white robe to put on top of it to come and sit when the Father is welcoming.
I missed the
Please
one
come
word,
in.
Joel. A white what now?
White robe
Robe.
to
Thank you.
put on.
Thank you.
Yes, I received that also.
Thanks for the confirmation. Everybody that has a desire for that, in fact, all of us can step into that.
Did that seem like the Zechariah the high priest experience where immediately in heaven he was given a robe of righteousness, or is it a higher robe? Or
So I see something that is in Revelation. The robe is washed in the blood of the Lamb, and that is given. The same robe is given to everyone who is entering.
Thank you for sharing that, Joe.
thank you.
Earlier, I also heard buckle up as I was getting on the train. Like I just saw like a hand putting the seatbelt on me, and it was buckle up.
Awesome. It's preparation for acceleration, Jackie. Would be my interpretation of that. Awesome.
When Nicholas said steam, I immediately thought of the mist that it's talked about, and I can't remember what mountain it was, but when God invited the Hebrew as they were leaving to go up the mountain with them, I think there was 70, and Moses got invited up.
Mhm.
They were all invited up to see God face to face and tabernacle with him. But if you recall, some rejected that and said, no, we don't want to go. So I feel like there's a covenant that's being offered.
Mhm.
But with the Father.
The one thing I didn't do when we started us off was like I was basically copying somebody else's thing, but they actually sung his name, because that was something the father taught him, but or her. But what was this? Yeah, I don't think I had a point there, but
Okay. It was Mount Sinai, Julie. And what was being offered there was entering into the age of Melchizedek. And as a whole, it was refused. But it was being offered at that point, is the way I would see it. Kings and priests were being offered at that time. No mediator between us and God. eating with God, a covenant meal, the 78 with God. They saw God and they did not die. And they ended up with a much inferior covenant because they rejected the one that was being offered. And I think what you're sensing, Julie, is that one is being offered, the one that God wanted to initially offer there.
I would agree, Bill.
Yeah, everything since that time up until Jesus is a big giant parenthesis, a sidetrack for the main line. It's like taking the local instead of taking the direct route.
I want to see if anybody else is seeing this, but way back when I first looked at the interior of the train, the next thing was the robot butler there, but that was reminding me of detail of one game, but they were both the ticket master and the bartender, so we may, I don't know if wine's going to show up soon, but
Like the wine room kind of thing.
yeah.
Uh, I'm seeing wooden cask, more like we would have whiskey made in, the oak casks. I don't think it's whiskey, but wine does go with covenant.
Now, do you feel we're supposed to focus on the destination or inside the train?
Destination. I think covenant's linked with promises as well, that people get a clear understanding of what exactly are the promises we have and what are they not. And they're not that all our circumstances work out how we thought they would. It's funny because I felt prompted to write a list of what are the actual promises in scripture yesterday.
Ah,
So many people struggle with that, that they're so disappointed with God because their life hasn't turned out the way they wanted, but it was never actually promised that way. And the other thing I'm seeing is back to this circus. I'm seeing like all of us, you know how they throw somebody up in the air and then they catch them,
yeah.
these acrobats. Well, I'm seeing us throwing Jesus higher and higher, Yeshua higher and higher up, which means that he gets more and more revealed and that people understand the covenant promises clearer and clearer. And we're to throw him higher and higher.
Ah. And that's way beyond the cross, because you talk about if he be lifted up, then people see him as being lifted up. But this is way beyond looking at the cross. This is looking at his journey
Yeah.
after that, long after that. My overall sense for my entire journey is that Yeshua is the forerunner in every place that he goes. every identity he moves into, every function he has, every single one of them is available to us. But you have to see him first for who he is. And scripture says that once we see him for who he is, then we can be like him. So you have to see him first. See, receive, enter into, right? And I really resonate with that, Jane, tossing him higher up and up so that he can be seen, to be seen at higher and higher levels of identity and function. I mean, like most people just see him as Christ and don't even see him as Son of God. They just see him as Christ and that's it. And some people never get past seeing Jesus walking on the earth to seeing him seated in heaven, you know? And then there's levels of seated in heaven too. The journey, and he's actually done, if not all of that journey that's available to him, he's done at least most of it. I suspect it's very close to all at this point. That he's almost back to where he was when he first began, because he was the Word and the Lamb, and then he died as the Lamb before the foundation of the world. And then on the cross, he died as in all of his names that he was in at that time, including the Word who dwelt among us, and he died to his Godhead at that point, God's ship. And
This
he's
is
restored.
just pure instinct, but he has to be higher up, you know, because with man added, I mean, just there's more revealed, and
Say that last sentence.
he has to be higher up than where he started because now man's added to the equation, you know. It's like,
Oh, okay. The thing is that he's restored or being restored fully to where he was, but now he's also man as well as God, which makes it a forerunning for us. It opens the door for us to follow him into. So he's being restored to it, but he's also entering into it as man for the first time. And it opens it up entirely for us to follow him fully into all those identities and functions. So, for example, the high priest at the right hand of God the Father, the Son of Man at the with the Ancient of Days, the Lamb, and then the Word. These are all open to us eventually in fullness. I see eventually they're open to us in a restored body as well, a resurrected body or a changed body. But until that point, they're open to us spiritually. But of course, Yeshua didn't just forerun some of those places spiritually, he forerunned them in a resurrected body, ascending. Does that go along with what you're talking about, Jane?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's interesting how I haven't heard many houses talk about different names.
That's because for most people, the revelation of Jesus Christ is entirely about future events, or it's entirely about past events. For a few, it's for a combination of all three, past, present, future. But very few see it as revealing Jesus as a forerunner, entering into things that we can follow him into. I don't know anybody else besides us that sees, for example, high priest as something that we can aspire to, or lamb is something we can aspire to, or word is something that we can aspire to. I don't think anybody else besides us sees the revelation of Jesus Christ as a source of revelation of Yeshua's identities since his resurrection and ascension, and that this is something that he's forerunning for us to follow him into. I don't think I know of anybody else that talks about that. They're all
I do have just recalled Nancy's released one about being the living word.
awesome.
Yeah, that's just come out. So that's the first I've heard of any names that we've talked about. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good news.
I'm not even sure, like I've never even read of anybody scholarly writing about Yeshua being the Lamb or being the Word.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I just haven't seen it, but like I was on Amazon today looking, for example, about books about the Son of God, right? And there's a whole bunch of books about the sons of God, and it's talking. Almost all of them are talking about the Nephilim and Genesis 6. Excuse me. Very, very few of them are talking about the sons of God as being something that's our future destiny, right? They haven't latched onto that. I was just looking for another book. I wasn't going to read it. I just wanted to see if anybody else had written anything about it. And very, very little out there. Maybe other stuff that's not on Amazon, but so that's just
Aren't the
that one.
scholars and the last ones to come? I mean, just you look at the Pharisees, but
There's a lot of there are some believing scholars that really the distinction that we have is we're doing that kind of level of discovery, but we're doing it in the context of journey, not just looking at Jesus himself, because I mean he's the forerunner, but seeing that we can follow him. I'm repeating myself, but there's not even that much work on Jesus functioning in those identities that are revealed in the revelation of Jesus Christ beyond Christ. I saw one book about him being the Son of God, and I didn't read it, but it's just, we're rather unique. And it is a major, major revelation, and it opens up so much more journey to us than beyond just, for example, being part of the body of Christ. You can actually become a king, not just a part of it, the body of the king, we become the king. And then with Son of God, you can not just be part of the house of God, but you can actually, and you see what I'm saying, that these identities are very, and I see that we function in them first in the, as a spirit, with a soul and spirit, but I'm still looking forward to that bodily ascension at some point with a changed body, because that's actually what Yeshua did. He ascended with a changed body, resurrected body. I want that, and I'm convinced that doesn't mean you end up being stuck in heaven for ever and ever, because the ultimate goal is still to come back to earth and live in all these identities on the earth. It's not like a one-way ticket. It's a two-way ticket, there and back. Bring us back to our train ride. Because in heaven, I'm sorry, on earth as it is in heaven, right? So it's first in heaven and then it's on earth, but it's the same identities. I mean, you're a king in heaven, then you're a king on the earth. Having done your training wheel stabilizer kind of stuff, kingship things in heaven first. And same
well,
with,
yeah, that's Enoch. He was there one day of the week and heaven 2 days of the week, and back one day of the week, and he kept spending more and more time in heaven. And then people were wondering when he's coming back, but he'd be there once a month and go back to heaven. And
yep, but that's only half of the ride. That's half of the
yeah,
journey, because for him, he didn't come to immortality where he could come back. He went there to avoid dying. That's what Genesis tells us. He was taken so that he would not die. Right?
Yeah, that's okay.
You've
That's
got
new to
to,
me.
if once you've got yourself in a mortal body, then you don't have to hide out in heaven, hiding from death. You can come back with your immortal body and function on the earth in all of that identity. And I've been convinced for quite a while that Yeshua stands at the door of that and says, "You first," like a guy holding a door for a woman. He holds the door for us, and then we come into it, and then he follows us into it. He waits for us to be able to join him in it before he returns in it, is what I'm sensing. Because there's so much in Scripture about him waiting in heaven for things to be done. He's waiting until his enemies are made a footstool, right?
Yes.
But I think he's waiting for us to get to immortality too, before he returns permanently to the earth with his immortality.
All
Yeah.
very exciting new territory then.
Isn't it? And the sons of God, one of the last part of the Son of God journey is immortality, because this age and that age is the age of the resurrection, and those who qualify for the age of the resurrection are the sons of God. So there's a point at which on our Son of God journey we actually come into immortality as sons of God, and we enter into that age, the age that is to come. And it's not just in heaven. It's not, in fact, for most, it's not going to happen until the resurrection. They're waiting, and they get a jump from here to there. They didn't do the journey from here to there. They did a journey until death, and then with the resurrection, they are like jump to the head of the line and become immortal. But for others, we're going to do the journey into that without dying.
So do you think the mandate for today is what we've said about releasing that journey of names?
Yeah, I think that just by speaking that journey as I just did, and I apologize for taking as much of the bench time as I did, but I just sowed all that. That's a major part of it, Jane. Yeah. Yeah,
Do you know, I think I saw that mandate a while ago.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you're certainly doing the journey. But what you saw about tossing him up higher and higher is not just us doing the journey and being aware of him being the forerunner and us following him. It's us proclaiming him in those higher identities so that others can see him.
Yeah.
Let me throw this out there because it's no coincidence that I've only come across one fact about circuses in the last week and even the last year, really. But the one thing I just heard by coincidence, let's say, well, not really, but the when somebody throws so there's a guy being thrown like across the room or shot out of a cannon and a dude catching, right? So the guy being thrown, like his job is to do absolutely nothing, because he'll mess it up if he tries to do something. He just trusts the guy who's going to catch him because it's all their job there. But I don't think it's a coincidence. I came across that fact last week, but we'll see how that fits in.
So
Well, it's funny.
Go ahead.
I actually went to a circus a couple of weeks ago as well. Cirque du Soleil, and I, hardly ever go to the circus, but it's funny that.
Yeshua is being passive and we do the tossing and catching. One way to see that is like a blanket toss, which is a group activity, right? There's people standing around all the edges of the blanket, and they toss the person up into the air using the blanket, and then they catch the person coming back down using the blanket. That's a group way of doing that. And we can do that as a bench. Picture yourself around a blanket, and then you're holding the blanket with your arms hanging down, and then you take your arms and lift them quickly up as high as you can, and that tosses the person up into the air part of the way. And then they come down and you bring your arms back down to the bottom, catching them, and then toss them again. It builds momentum, so each of the tosses is going to be higher and higher, is the way I would see it. Does that resonate?
Yes, but I think
I'd like a
we should.
stronger image, really.
Go ahead.
I think we should look at what's a proper act in heaven.
Okay. Well, part of it is joining him where he is, at least positionally, if not yet functionally. Because people can see him in us, if you see what I'm saying. And they can hear above what we're saying. Do you see a governmental act type thing, though, Jane, to do that?
Well, there's many different ways. I think this is why we have to learn. There's many basic ways that we all know of to do this. So I think it's important I put it back to you. Or
I'm
you
trying
all.
to move
Just
away from taking
suggest,
pictures.
I'm
just
trying to think of
suggest-
something that's not courts.
well, courts is one of them, definitely. Present a case.
Yeah, but we do that about every time. So
Yeah, so think of something else.
Anybody else have
Think
some
of
revelation on this?
all the places we know in heaven, all the levels, the different types of functions.
the lamb is trying to say something. I'll see if I can pick it up. Yeah, this might take a while. Don't wait on me.
When you think of the thrones as well, what's related to Jesus's being his presence being more relevant to people?
We could function in legislation. Would be one possibility. That's age of Melchizedek function. I'm sure there's higher ways to do that.
What kind of law, though?
Like the law of the Lamb and the law of the Word,
No.
and legislate it for the house of God. It's a matter of what law are you legislating and what group of people are you legislating for, if you see what I'm saying. So that would be those laws, and for the house of God, which is what we've been concentrating on the last
That
week.
wouldn't cover all names.
No. Well, you could probably legislate for all his current names at one time.
Are you sure they're laws?
I see every piece of new revelation as being a law
Really?
that can be legislated.
Huh?
It opens up that particular piece of kind of revelation to the entire group that you're legislating for.
I mean, I could see different ways, like you go to the Chancellor's house, you release scrolls for operating in those names.
Yep.
Well, you ask the chancellors to release scrolls. There's the glory throne that releases God's, Yeshua's glory, which is understanding about all his functions and awareness of who he is and about him being higher and higher. Because I think as we sit on the glory throne, it's a joint function. It's not just our glory, it's his. You could
function-
operate as the morning star,
Yep.
exploding names.
Yeah, I haven't been able to understand this, but at first, you know, it's like I think the Lamb was trying to show me just, you remember the verses about the revealing of the sons of God, just being caught up into the sky, the people, a verse people like so much, and just he was just being in the sky, glowing, like having his arms out like in a cross, and then there was something about Holy Spirit hovering at the over the chaos of the start of creation, just a low, very wah, 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 very low pitched sound or something, and I guess that image of the just glowing up there in the sky reminds me of that one encounter with the ark up there, but closest thing you said was just the morning star again, but these don't seem like proper acts to me, but some sound there is something to do with sound, it seems, just Holy Spirit, how he hovered, or just that sound resonating out of the ark or something, but it's this is beyond me
There
at the
is a
moment.
sunrise in each of these revelations as we ourselves begin to function in that particular name. So there's a sunrise in Malachi 4 where the Son of Righteousness rises with healing in his wings. That's talking about Yeshua rising as Melchizedek is what that's talking about. And there is a sunrise in each of these names that Yeshua functions in. We can each have our own personal sunrise in each of the names that we begin to function in. And you begin to function as a son in the sense of being a source of light as opposed to just being a reflector of light. There is a sewing function. We can do a king that I mentioned on the chat, which is what I was doing as I was describing those different names that Yeshua functions in. So you can function as a sower to sow those revelations.
You can also be light, like we with that circle of light, hovering over people's head in Godheadship.
That was revealed to us at the beginning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And each of us seated in a seat of light, basically on the bench here. I like that just because that was the original revelation we had. So each of us seated in light, our seat being a light. And if you've got a headship function, then you've also got a head, that head thing around your head.
Way back, didn't we call people up once or just suck them up in a vortex or something?
We've done that with Fibonacci spirals, right?
Yeah, if they're up here in the light with us, well, they're gonna see.
That brings them into it, right?
Yeah.
I think I resonate the most with the bench. We're seated around the circle. We're in seats of light. And basically our bench itself is a technology for bringing in revelation and revealing it. Not just revealing it, but projecting it. Which is what we saw with the screen.
And why is David dancing coming to mind now?
David functioned in the is to come.
I'm thinking I'm flowing in something different this time. I'm going all over here.
That's okay, Nicholas. Just flow with it.
No, it's a good thing, I imagine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we'll join.
Yeah, that's like in David City releasing a frequency.
Yeah,
Yeah, and down into an infinity realm.
yep. Which
It's really
is to
good.
come. Dancing can bring revelation to people. It can open portals.
now
Enjoy
that's arc
David
and
dance.
sound again.
What's that?
That's arc and sound again. That's
Awesome. Let's join David in the dance. I honor you, by the way, David, King David.
Yeah, it can also just be sitting next to him on his throne.
Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't have to be dancing. But if
Well-
anyone doesn't know, does everyone know how to release a frequency?
No.
Last word, they got cut
No.
off. James was asking, does everyone know how to release a frequency?
Well, if you don't, you just imagine like the highest frequency, like the God frequency, which is something like 1,100. You don't actually even have to know what that sounds like, but just imagine the highest pitch you could imagine, and just releasing that at that level in your spirit. It's as simple as that, really.
Don't limit yourself to frequencies that your ears are able to hear.
Yeah. It's kind of like just being in the most ecstatic state you could imagine. And you know how you scream, you go, ah, like that. It's kind of like doing that, but silently. You got to let your inhibitions go for this one.
I see explosions associated with it too, of light and sound. And energy. I also see a lighthouse with light sweeping. Just some images to help you to function in this. The bright morning star is another way to see it. Pulsar is another image, which is a variably projecting star. I heard Yeshua saying that he's delighted with us as a bench.
Yeah, and I'm hearing as well that it's not an optional extra. You know, these names, this journey.
Mhm.
This is why it matters.
We can come to know Yeshua as King and then come to know him as Son of God and then Son of Man and so on. That involves coming into a relationship with him where he speaks to you in that name. And ultimately, you can come to the place where it's actually Yeshua as the Word who's speaking to you. Just toss that out there. Anybody have an encounter you want to share?
There's a couple of details here, but so the frequency, eventually I saw it's like it's so tight that if you're visualizing the waveform, it's just like a continuous thing because you can't even see the waves or so it's such a high frequency. But at some point I got to just seeing the whole Earth and like apparently in astronomy, if you go far away enough from the Earth, if you take a photo back of it, there's that beam of light that covers the whole Earth that's not like anywhere else in space nearby, you know. So that beam of light got stronger, and I was wondering like when, and it's like the Earth's like duplicated at 7, and like the beam of light was stronger on all of them, you know. So it's I was thinking like when, past, present, future, but anyways, is that beam of light like that's as wide as the Earth and like shooting down on it and just in space and like even that can be seen in the physical realm even does that have a name and like does 7 Earths mean anything to you?
I'm not aware of that personally, Nicholas. But it
Okay.
doesn't mean anything because I don't follow physics that much. Anybody have any knowledge on that? You just may have introduced us to something that was new to us. Go ahead, Jen.
No, no.
Thank you for bringing your background and experience to us, Nicholas. That's good. Anybody else with more encounter you want to share?
May have just been the 7 realms, so yeah.
Uh, I was just seeing some, along with the dance, psalms coming out, songs, musical alphabets. And when I look at it, it doesn't make anything making sense. But just with faith, pass on to the neighbor, and they are interpreting and getting a lot of revelation out of that. So the God's command for me is to say it out loud, whatever is revealed, even if it doesn't make sense, or sing or reveal what is given.
Awesome. I heard the phrase musical alphabets. That's beautiful. And then you're functioning in interpretation.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's so wonderful to see how each of us has a different way of responding to this, but it's all within the mandate. It's beautiful diversity amongst us. Anybody else?
For me, it's just a matter of learning and just listening to it and just adding it on as it was said.
Thank you, Amanda. I saw that neon circle was around my head, going back to the position that I had before it came down upon my head when the bench gathering began. We may possibly be complete here. Anybody have any sense of anything additional that we need to do or should do?
I'm complete.
Yeah, there's a peaceful feeling you get, besides which the revelation stops, like when a prophecy you're speaking ends and you stop talking. But there's a peaceful feeling you get too when the mandate and the bench time gathering is complete. Anybody
I mean,
else?
it's kind of like a balloon deflating, you know? It's like,
Yep. Coming back down to earth, right?
There's a lot of richness in those encounters actually, and I received everything that was released.
Jane, are we complete?
I saw this light ring fall coming down to our bodies.
Ah,
If you see what I mean, round our bodies instead of over our head. And then I asked, what did that mean? And I got that it meant that it was no longer a mind academic understanding. It really got into our spirit.
that practical stuff that you're always encouraging us into, right?
Mm. Mm.
Which I really appreciate that mandate that you keep bringing back to us.
I think what it's saying is it's an ongoing mandate as well. As fathers, we have to keep doing this. This is so key, and keep feeling that heart to do that for the universal house of God.
And also that's switching from a headship to a body, which is for everybody. Yeah, I can see that now. You spoke that. Thank you.
Could just see that ring around your body and see if it makes any difference.
For me, it's just above the waist level is where I see it. Just above where you'd wear a belt, which is gut level. Which is one of our four minds, right?
Hmm.
The gut is one of the four minds. So moving from the brain mental to the gut mind level.
mine seems to be at heart level. I can try like grabbing it and dragging it down. It snaps back.
Ah, okay. Maybe it varies. Four minds are the brain, the heart, the gut, and the body itself as a whole is also the fourth mind.
Yep.
So I feel like I'm being asked to share, teach you how to be a glowing white ball of light. Like, has anyone experienced this?
Say that sentence again, Jane.
I feel like I'm being told to teach you how to be a glowing ball of white light.
Thank you.
Has anyone experienced that? No?
Not
Well,
actually.
For me, it's starting to become quite a frequent encounter. And I used to really trigger on it. Yes, I think it was silly. And I actually thought it was sort of more, physical. People would go around seeing us as a physical ball of white light. But I think at the moment it's just a spiritual thing. And I think what it's doing is making light into every part of our being. And you can just start off by even doing this ring thing. Start at your head, start at your stomach, and then see the light infiltrating inwards and growing from your insides, growing out, even beyond the outside of your skin to like an outer layer of protection, until all of you is light and you're covered, and you're just this ball of white light. Your frequency goes up immensely. It could be healing. It can be something you could meditate on daily. Only takes a few minutes, or if you're ever in angst over anything, you can just do that to change your frequency.
Thinking back, I may have done that at lower level, like way back when I first moved into dreams and visions, but it's like you feel safe when you're completely covered head to toe because you know they can't get to you. But like when I first tried to move into that stuff, I'd get some nasty images and just cover yourself with blood and just make sure you're entirely glowing covered with light. But
Mm.
focusing on it, seeping internally too, that was quite important, I imagine.
Can you feel a high frequency, Bill?
Yeah, I was able to see the image that you were speaking, so I could see it and receive it and start to function in it. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
And definitely see it as spherical.
Thanks for that, Jane.
Mm.
Yeah, you could even see it as that, is it called torus? Toroidal shape that are on a lot of these diagrams. Comes out from the center and it goes back in both sides.
Mm.
Horus is what I was seeing the whole time until the ball of light discussion, but
Mm. Yeah, I think I'm complete now. Oh yeah, I did want to talk about this bench doing Facebook Lives again.
and I was gonna talk to you too about probably about time I start holding some meetings myself. We
Mm. How many have you got on your
Well, I'll have to advertise or gather again because besides maybe Joe here, I don't think the others have really responded the last time I posted. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to do some more ads. Can you put some more ads on Facebook Live? The Heavenly Realms Facebook?
Am I able to post?
I don't know.
I can try.
Because I've forgotten the time and the days and everything. Or you try, and if you can't, give me the details. Just let me complete with just praising God. I just think that's important. We do every time. I just really want to honor heaven for the immense privilege of being part of your governance, for leading and guiding us, for always being ever present. And we release this governmental act to your angels to continue, and that it would continue ongoing, that we would make a massive difference to the world, that we would see the difference. We'd see people coming, asking about these things, sharing how they govern over these words, these names. And honor all of you for participating.
Jane, as you were talking, when you release the angels, what's going on is you're actually releasing them to preach a new gospel, a higher level gospel.
Yes.
Another gospel, the gospel of Yeshua as the Lamb, the gospel of Yeshua as the Word, and so on. Just like they preach the everlasting gospel in the revelation of Jesus Christ, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. That was the essential step when you spoke that, release the angels to preach that gospel at that level.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Nicholas, I just want to encourage you, you're ready for this.
Yeah, I asked, discussed with the Lord a little bit, and it seems it's not an accident. You said I have a house, because it seems I shall or do. But yeah, it's like there's a lot of children in that dream because I still ask for dreams anyway because I go to sleep anyway. Might as well see something, But ooh, it's more you can control, but I mean it's not about control.
And with facilitating an encounter group is a major step, and it opens up a lot of other possibilities afterwards.
Yeah, we start here and
Yep.
take it somewhere from there.
Yeah, it'll take you into fathering eventually. It is a elementary form of fathering.
Does the number 160 mean anything to anybody?
160?
Yes.
No.
That was the number of children. But...
Well, what I always do is I add the digits. So 1 + 6 is 7. That's completion, right? Maybe even 7D, which is interesting. That was the 70 that Julie mentioned that went up Mount Sinai with Moses and Moses. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. There may be other meanings to it too. Okay, I'm going to turn the recording off now.
Oh, can you just leave it on? Just so Karen can hear about the Facebook Live discussion. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sort of half and half about it. Oh, by the way, Nicholas, I just asked and I didn't sense the timing was quite right yet for that encounter group.
Okay.
Yeah. To keep laying the foundations, calling people in, doing the adverts. Yeah. Yeah, half and half about this Facebook Live. I really want to, but then part of me is in fear of, whoever's evil out there picking it up. And no one else does it. So what do you sense in the spirit?
Well, at one point we were doing off and on. The week that we were using your Zoom, we did a Facebook Live, and the week that 2 weeks later when we used my didn't do it. We could leave it to a decision of the bench at a given gathering as to whether they sense that this particular one's going to be one that should be on a Facebook Live or not. That's another way to handle it.
Yeah. Are you hearing that from heaven or are you just coming up with a solution?
No, I'm just giving you possible solutions.
Yeah, I really want to hear from heaven.
Okay. Well, what I hear is no. Back to general principles is balancing between the desire to proclaim and then the other side of the thing is those who approach and come close are the ones that get
Yeah.
benefits of the relationship that they are seeking, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
And
there's nothing stopping anyone,
that's
you know,
right.
coming close, asking for the recordings, getting it. Yeah.
An open bench, anybody can come to the bench, anybody can listen to our recordings. They can be asked to be added to the chat. There's nothing keeping them away from having all the benefits that we are having, other than their own, you know, there's that balance between you want to tell everybody, and then the other part of it, those who pay the price to draw near get the benefits of having drawn near. And at a certain level, it's not actually fair that the people who don't pay the price should be getting the benefits, because they didn't pay for it by commitment. That kind of feels like a oracle there, as opposed to principles.
For me, it is how the pureness of heart is for the fullness of commitment in the relationship with the Lord.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll leave it private at the moment. I sense that as well.
On the flip side, maybe even our encounter groups aren't fully Facebook Live public, but you could pick particular topics that you knew that we are meant to proclaim and choose to do them on a Facebook Live with a group as an encounter. We might want to consider intentionally seeking particular topics that are meant to be done to be part of a Facebook Live, if you see what I mean.
Do you think you're giving away your secrets to the enemy, though? Your strategies.
That would be why I picked
They
particular
could copy.
that wouldn't be the highest ones. They would be more fundamental ones.
I don't know if we could do fundamental ones anymore.
Yeah, that's more of an encounter group, isn't it? It's like a big yawn, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And,
Been there, done that. It's not interesting anymore.
So how do you ask heaven about questions like this? You just focus on, bring up a desire to know and just see what comes, or?
Part of a dialogue, Nicholas.
Yeah, you just set your desire, and then you just really sense in your spirit a yes or a no.
Yeah.
I usually ask one of the 7 spirits that's relevant as well, and I just hear either a yes or a no.
Which is a
Okay, yeah,
priestly function,
dialogue
by
I
the
know
way.
how to do, yeah.
That's a priestly function. It's actually a high priestly function. High priest had the Urim and the Thummim on his garment there, and the one of them was the yes answer, and the other one was the no answer. It's a high priestly function, Jane. At the highest level, anyway. I know that even just in general spiritual practice, you can get the yes feeling or the no feeling. The no feeling is this feeling, which is just uncomfortable. And the yes feeling is a very peaceful feeling. And that's a yes answer when you ask that kind of a question. And Nicholas, with any revelation that you're given, I'm finally learning to not assume that just because I've been given revelation that it's meant to be shared. Some revelation is not meant to be shared with anybody. And some revelation is only meant to be shared with our closest. I mean, there's things I share with Jane that I don't share with anybody else. And it's a matter of relationship with the Godhead to start learning. Also experience when you make the mistake once, and then you get rebuked for having said something that was not meant to be shared. And God has the ability to toss a cloak over it once you do that. But you get rebuked once or twice. It gives you some caution.
And there's
Mm.
timing so much, isn't there? Timing on revelation.
Who's ready for it and who's not ready for it. And that's based upon their journey and the level of their commitment and what they've paid and what they haven't paid.
Mm.
I'm not talking money. I'm talking about paying with your as a living sacrifice.
Mm.
Mm.
And, there's things that Yeshua told to the 3 that he didn't tell to the 12, right?
Oh,
Those
Yeah.
3 were up on the Mount of Transfiguration. The other 9 weren't.
Mm.
God and Yeshua chose those 3, or God chose them and informed Yeshua that those 3 were the ones that were for the first level of secrets, that before they were given out to anybody else. Okay. So
Yeah.
thank you, Joe. Thank you so much.
and thank you, Bill, for saying that, because as I move into more stuff, that's very timely advice.
I learned the hard way, and Jane had to keep reminding me. So,
Mm.
so yeah, I've pretty much learned that lesson.
Yeah.
Jane, are we ready to finish here?
Yeah, thank you, everyone. That's great.
Thank you, everybody. This was wonderful.
Mm.
Yeah. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Recording
Thank
off.
you. Good night.
Good night, everybody.